Officials say a man was released on bond in Tennessee, then drove to Mississippi to kill his girlfriend. Now, the bail bonds companies that helped him get out of jail are coming under fire. We sit down with the victim's father to discuss the case, the bail companies, and what's next. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. We told you a few weeks back about the brutal murder of 22-year-old Lauren Johansen. And I want to be clear about this because based on what we have reported and what we are seeing now, and we have a lot of new information that we want to dive into, this killing should not have happened. This killing, in my opinion, could very well have been prevented. Let me explain. Lauren's allegedly abusive boyfriend, 23-year-old Bricen Rivers, had been locked up in Nashville, Tennessee. Why? Accused of beating Lauren inside of a car while they were on vacation. Lauren had managed to call her family to say that she thought Rivers was going to kill her, so police pinpoint her location. They arrest Rivers. It's reportedly caught on body cam. They charge him with aggravated kidnapping, interference with a 911 call, very serious charges. Lauren went to the hospital with serious injuries and then goes home to Mississippi to try to recover. Now, that was back in December of 2023. Lauren's father, Dr. Lance Johansen, who we're going to speak to in a minute, told WLOX News that he warned the judge overseeing this case at the time, criminal court judge Cheryl Blackburn, that Rivers should not be let out, that he was a danger to Lauren. So Rivers ends up spending months in jail, but this judge decided to lower his bond from $250,000 to $150,000. And he was eventually able to post it and was released on June 24th. Now, apparently, the judge placed some conditions on this release. So Rivers had to wear a GPS monitoring device, he couldn't leave the county, and he was prohibited from having any contact whatsoever with Lauren. Rivers reportedly used two bonding companies to make that happen: Brooks Bail Bonding and On Time Bonding. They split the cost of the bond. But here's the thing. While Rivers was supposed to be fitted with a GPS monitor that would make sure he stayed within confined limits, a confined geographical area, that didn't happen. We're going to come back to that in just a second. But Lauren's father had reportedly got a voicemail from the Davidson County District Attorney's Office in Nashville. And it reportedly said, quote, "This is Bailey calling from the District Attorney's Office in Nashville. Bricen Rivers was released from custody. He was supposed to report straight to a GPS company and be put on a GPS monitor, and he was not to leave Davidson County. But as soon as he was released, he did not report to that GPS monitoring company, and he has not been heard from. I wanted to make sure Lauren is safe." Well, unfortunately, Lauren was not safe. Unfortunately, Lauren would be found dead, reportedly beaten to death days later. So here's a very important new piece of information that just came out. Court officials have confirmed that one of their clerks made a mistake where they didn't notify the Davidson County Jail about Rivers' bond conditions. So the jail didn't know that he was supposed to get an ankle monitor or be released to a bonding company. So Rivers just ends up walking out without supervision. And remember, he wasn't allowed to leave Davidson County. So he's released, but he apparently calls Brooks Bail Bonding on his own. And Brooke Harlan, the owner of Brooks Bail Bonding, hired Freedom Monitoring for GPS services. This is a company run by one of her employees. That woman, Nikita Wilhoit, sent a letter to Judge Blackburn explaining that she didn't know about the judge's bail conditions when Rivers was released. At the time, she installed the ankle monitor, but she claims she did set up zones for the device when she found out about everything. So this was on June 28th when she found out and set up these zones. But again, that's 4 days after he has already been released. Now, Wilhoit said in her letter to the judge that she called Rivers that day and said he needed to come back to the business so that she could replace the GPS monitor. And guess what happens? Rivers allegedly shows up at Brooks Bail Bonding with Lauren. One of his conditions was that he wasn't supposed to have any contact with her. But instead of calling the police, it appears Rivers was allowed to leave. He should have been arrested on the spot. So of course it becomes a question, why didn't this happen? Did they not see her? Did they not know? And what happens? Days later, Lauren is found dead in Mississippi. Her dead body discovered in the back seat of her car in a cemetery. reportedly wrapped up in sheets and trash bags, and Rivers is accused of killing her. And Dr. Lance Johansen, again, who we're going to be speaking to in a second, was there. He was at the crime scene. He reportedly helped the coroner lift his own daughter's body out of that car. As for Rivers, he was reportedly seen running away from the scene into a wooded area. This involved drones, dozens of officers, air support dogs as they were following him. And the police were able to lure him out of the woods by pretending to be a friend who was texting with him, and they apprehend him. He's arrested. He's booked for Lauren's murder, this time on a $1 million bond in Harrison County, Mississippi. But we now know Rivers has been moved to Forest County. It's about an hour away because investigators believe that is where he actually killed Lauren and then took her to that cemetery in another jurisdiction. He's facing now 3 felony counts in Forest County: first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and larceny by taking of a motor vehicle. So Lauren's loved ones say this wouldn't have happened if Rivers had been kept behind bars in Tennessee after that initial alleged attack. And now Nashville judges, they want answers about Rivers' release from the Davidson County Jail on June 24th. A 6-judge panel has scheduled an evidentiary hearing for August 15th, where representatives from Brooks Bail Bonding and On-Time Bonding are expected to testify. And the bottom line, they need to figure out how on earth this happened. The panel will be seeking receipts, documents, emails, photographic evidence of what these companies knew before Rivers left the state. In the court order, it states, it appears to the court that certain irregularities may have accompanied the posting of bond and release of the defendant in this matter. Now, each of these companies could face suspension or lose their ability to write bonds in Davidson County, depending on what the panel decides. There could also be criminal consequences as well. Brooke Harlan, who I mentioned, she owns Brooks Bail Bonding, she released a statement saying, I'm welcoming the hearing and looking forward to the truth and real facts being presented in the said hearing. There has been a lot of misinformation in conjunction with flat-out lies that have been put out there, and I'm looking forward to setting the record straight, as everyone deserves to know the truth. Well, Lauren's father started a GoFundMe in memory of his daughter, saying she was an animal lover. She was studying to become a registered nurse. If anybody wants to contribute, please. The family needs your support. And at the end of the day, this is just another case of a young person taken away too soon. Okay, so now I want to bring in Dr. Lance Johansen to talk about this absolutely tragic, horrible case that, in my opinion, was easily preventable. And we're going to get to the bottom of where these mistakes happen. But Doctor, good to see you again. For people who don't know, we've had the chance to meet on another program before, but I just want to tell you again, I can't tell you how sorry I am for your loss and for what you and the family are going through, particularly as we learn more about lapses that happened here. And again, how Lauren's death, again, in my opinion, was easily preventable. But I want to ask you, since the last time we spoke, how are you and the family doing right now?
Well, I appreciate you asking, and of course we're not doing very good. We buried Lauren the Saturday before last. It was very difficult, but I just want to let everybody know that we're struggling. We're doing the best we can, and this is just a horrendous thing to have to deal with. And I just want my daughter back.
I know. The GoFundMe that you set up, is that a direct way that people can help support you guys through this? And again, if you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, the GoFundMe that we set up for Lauren, you know, as I mentioned in the GoFundMe, she and I were driving back from Nashville, and he says, Daddy, if he ever kills me, please make sure that my animals and the kids, you know, she called her younger brother and her younger brother and sister, who are the twins, the kids, because she was pretty much like their mother. You know, when they were born, she was a little bit older, and as we managed before, my wife's a little incapacitated, so she and I have been a tag team taking care of their mother and the other 3 children that I have, and just I don't know, I almost lost my train of thought there, just thinking how difficult it is to take care of them. But what Lauren wanted was them to be taken care of. And we're not exactly sure how we're gonna make the funds in her honor work, but her life goal was to take care of her brother and sisters, her 2 brothers and her sister.
Well, we are going to put the GoFundMe up. This will be amplified. People will see this, and hopefully they can help you in any way that you need help. Last time I spoke to you, I said you were the rock of this family. You're being strong for your family, and clearly you're doing that. Look, I know this is a horrifying story, but it is a story that we think is important for you to hear about. And we're able to bring you these kinds of stories because of the support we get from our sponsors. And I want to call one out right now, Noble Gold. So look, if you're worried about the future of the economy, this could be the company for you. With so much uncertainty these days, it's natural to worry about the security of your retirement savings. But there is one asset that stands the test of time. You guessed it. Gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. And setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investment's streamlined process and expert guidance. And right now, Noble Gold will give you a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. So go to lawandcrimegold.com now. That's lawandcrimegold.com, or you can call them at 877-646-5347. Mention Law and Crime. There's always a risk of investment and no guarantee of any kind. Before we get into, again, what latest information and about what happened, I want to bring it back to Lauren for a minute. For people who don't know,
Yes.
they read the stories about Lauren, but that's not enough. What can you tell us about Lauren, who she was, what kind of person she was? Because she seemed such a terrific human being and was taken too early in this life.
You know, the first thing that's kind of come towards me now that I've lost Lauren is that just such a wonderful, sweet person. And I just realized that she and I never really got in an argument. She never used foul language. She was just such a sweet, polite, and wonderful person. And when she talked to you, she had this voice of an angel. And it didn't matter what was going wrong. She was going to tell you, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. Everything is going to be fine. And just this calming voice that you didn't have any choice but to believe what she said. And a lot of people didn't know it, but when Lauren was very young, she was very gifted, and they wanted to take her to the math and science school in our state. We ended up not doing that, but Lauren was a genius. She was just super, super smart. And of course, she's just drop dead gorgeous. And, you know, she had a career she could have done as a model. She could have done anything she wanted to do. We thought she'd be best as an attorney, following your footsteps, because she could win any argument she had with you. And I don't mean an argument, but I mean a discussion. You were going to lose. It just was a matter of time, how long it was going to be till you're going to lose. Yeah. So the most kind person, the most giving person, if you called her and you've never met her before and you said, hey, I know your dad, Dr. Johansen, will you do this for me? She would be asking you, where does she need to go and what does she need to do to help you? And, you know, her love of animals is just amazing. And I really saw her in the future having her own, either working with me as a nurse practitioner, but having her rescue place very, very close by, and then being an advocate for animals. In this case, if it was her sister that had been murdered, she would be advocating for women's rights and the battered woman syndrome, and anything she could do to, pretty much like the platform you have. I could see her doing that, very easily.
Like I said, she seemed like such a great, wonderful person. I wish I had the opportunity to meet her. And again, as I hear you describe her, and I hear that love, and I hear what she shared with her family and her friends, I'm just so sorry. I am so sorry that this happened and you're going through this. But we want to make sense of what happened, why this happened. And the last time we spoke, you had mentioned something to me about how you just want to make sure nothing like this happens in the future. So we got a lot of information since we last spoke. And I am curious, between the bail bonds companies, the clerk's error, who do you think is at fault for what happened here? In other words, who's at fault for this defendant being let out and ultimately, allegedly killing your daughter?
Well, I think that this particular incident of my daughter's death really it points out to all the different errors in the justice system. It's not just showing it from the top, it's showing it to the bottom. It's showing failures along the whole way. And like any other algorithm, you know, you got to start at the top, right? So the top of the algorithm is the judge reducing the bond and letting him out. And I'll just say that it's grotesque enough to see the pictures of Lauren, but imagine seeing this young woman being beaten to death in her car, blood everywhere, a bloody pistol on the ground, a savage man on top of her beating her, and the police open the door with a video cam, having a body cam, basically taking a video of him trying to kill her. And this judge has this video in possession and evidence, and they can look at it and let this man out of jail. I just don't understand it.
Can we pause right there? Why did the judge let him out? Why did the judge reduce the bond? And you had made a plea to the court: do not let him out. He will come after my daughter. What was the rationale? Did you get a response to your pleas? I mean, what was the rationale, and what was the response to what you were saying?
Well, unfortunately, Jesse, what I said fell on deaf ears. And I will just tell you that there's a lot of different ways the story has been told. But when I first went to Nashville a week after this, when they first had the first preliminary hearing, this is the time that I gave them all this information. I gave them the pictures that I've shared with the media. The horrendous crime was even reduced in the first hearing. We knew that he had a gun and he beat her with it, and it was bloody. And they tried to, take away an attempted murder charge even at that time. And nobody understands aggravated kidnapping, but the translation aggravating kidnapping means attempted murder while you're holding someone hostage. So unfortunately, that doesn't ring a bell when people understand what this charge was. But we sat there with the initial, I guess you would say, the prosecutor, the victim advocates, and the judge. And this is the time I told them also that, she had been hit over 100 times. And they assured me, I'm just telling you, they assured me there was no way this man was ever getting out of jail. And they assured me that everything was going to be taken care of. So they told me that they were going to let me know when his trial was going to be, and it should be sometime in July or August. So I never heard a word from him. I just want to make this clear. I never received any contact, even though I was told if anything was going to change, I would be notified. And I know you're an attorney, and I'm a witness to what happened here. I was on the phone with the police trying to locate her, and she would have already been dead if we weren't able to find her the night that he was beating her and tried to kill her. So I never hear a word from him. I think everything's okay until I get this recording out of the blue, which I know you've listened to before. And, in all honesty, it was too late.
Yeah.
He already had her.
One of the reasons seems to be this error by the court clerk, where the Davidson County Jail didn't have Rivers' bond conditions when he was released. What do you know about that? What do you think about that?
It just shows the incompetency in the system, and I hate to say it that way, but the system doesn't communicate with itself. And here's what I'll say: when I wasn't notified of any of these hearings, so I had to go back and read them all myself. And I see the judge saying, no, you can't have bond because of this. You can't have it for this. You can't have it for this. So they finally meet all these things that she wants them to do, all the while knowing that at the same time, a grand jury has indicted him during this process, okay? And during this process, the judge is on record saying, based on the body cam video alone, there is a high probability of conviction in this case. So I don't know how you can look at that information, see the woman's face beaten to death, and let her out. But to answer your question, so they come up with all these rules, and the rules are kind of being skipped over a little bit, because it was, more than just you had to have an ankle monitor and you had to stay in the county. There was an address he had given them of where he was supposed to stay. There was a certain time that he was supposed to be let out of the jail. The bond person was supposed to be there at the jail when he got out to take him directly to the ankle monitoring company during the hours during the day before 4 o'clock. So those are just some of the errors that are made off of the bond amended order. And unfortunately, you go through all this process, and a clerk makes an error and doesn't share that information with the jail when they release him.
And the idea that he supposedly shows up at the bond offices with Lauren, that was shocking to hear.
Well, I tell you what's so shocking. So imagine them letting this savage animal out of jail out on the street. He has nowhere to go. He doesn't have the place to stay. He doesn't know what to do. So, I mean, I can't believe that he actually called the bail bond to say, what do I do? You know what I mean? He didn't have a car to drive home to go kill Lauren. So if this is not absolutely ludicrous, I'm just going to tell you that this other company put the ankle monitor on him, okay?
Yep.
This company that owned the ankle monitor was also a bail bonds person, one of the employees of the bail bonds company. The bail bond company signed this order about 3 weeks before he was let out of jail. So if you're going to sign a document on somebody and set up their bond, at least you can do is make a file and put on there what you signed. It's just common sense. Being an attorney like you are, if you didn't keep track of your records of what you did, you wouldn't be in practice very long. So to answer your question about him showing back up with her, so when he gets out, he tells them, oh yeah, I can go to Mississippi. And so guess what address he gave them? He gave them Lauren's home address of where to send him. So they got him a bus ride home to Mississippi, sending him to the address of the woman he wanted to kill. So basically what happened after that, and to answer your question, the monitor they put on him wasn't working right. And someone, this was on a Monday, so on Friday, everybody realized they screwed up, okay? So this is the day they called me as well. And basically what happened is that they all realized, wow, this guy got out of jail. There's no monitor. We don't know where he is. What do we do? And everybody got the bond conditions so they would know then, because they said they didn't have them, right? So in this time period, Bricen's got a hold of Lauren, and it's against her will. And the monitoring company calls him because they're not getting a good signal in Mississippi with his ankle. So he takes Lauren hostage and he drives back to Nashville. Okay. And he goes to the bail bonds office where the monitor lady is after they've got all the stipulations of what's in the amended bond agreement. Okay. I don't know that they saw Lauren. I didn't know that she was there. We didn't know where she went. And basically he's there. They know he shouldn't be there. They know he's already violated his bond because they told him. They told the bail bonds company and the monitoring company what the rules were. So they knew that he had already violated it. The DA even talked to him. So did the, I guess we'll call it I don't know if you want to call it a probation officer or whatever they are when they get out on bond. So he comes back. They let him go and they screw this all up, right? He comes back and they still screw it up. The man should have been arrested the minute they saw him. The bond company has an obligation and it says in clear writing at the bottom of the amended bond order, he must be apprehended and taken directly to the jail. So they had him again and they screwed it up.
The bond companies are under investigation. There's going to be a panel of judges who are going to look into this. What are you hoping happens as a result of that hearing?
In all honesty with you, first of all, the judges need to have a meeting by themselves. And really, whoever the judges' bosses are, I don't know who it is, you probably know. They need to have a meeting with the judges first. And they let the judges know that your behavior is unacceptable. Your decision-making is unacceptable. This is a broken system. We have to fix it. So it's easy for the judges to start pointing fingers at other people. But you know as well as I do, when you point a finger at somebody, there's three fingers pointing back at you, aren't they? So I would like to see the judge that made this error resign. That's the first thing that I'm calling for. She's done a nice job maybe in the years of being a judge, but at this point, time's up, it's over. You aren't capable of making good decisions. And I don't mean to say this in an ugly way, but this has already been documented before this ever happened with Lauren, that there was issues with this judge sleeping on the job and not having the ability to, rule like she used to.
Did you file a complaint against this judge?
I have not filed a complaint against this judge except for verbally in interviews with you. The time will come for that. We are in the grieving process right now, and I don't know how long this process is going to take. It probably will never end for me. But I think that there's other people, and I'll just say one person in an article I read likened this to this judge is on the job asleep like Joe Biden is. So I hate to compare her to the president, but that was an analogy that somebody made. And I think it sounds very accurate. And I don't know this person. This is coming from people that interact with her on a daily basis in court that are raising a flag saying something's not right here, do something about it, and it's not being listened to.
Has the judge ever issued an apology for this? Has the judge ever issued an explanation for this? Has she defended herself at all from this?
All I can find is that everything says no comment.
I asked you this last time, I'm curious. Did anyone apologize to you? The bail companies, the court, has anybody apologized to you?
Nobody has apologized to me. Nobody has talked to me. The only communication that I've had as I discussed with you is I talked to the on-call DA the day that we found her body beforehand, and I said, whatever y'all done here is not right. I said, you can't even tell me where the GPS location is with an ankle monitor. I was trying to be nice because I was looking for my daughter, even though I was upset with what they had done. So I tried to call them, and they wouldn't answer my phone call. And I sent an email saying I was very disappointed that being a witness, and even on the amended bond order, it says that the perpetrator is not supposed to have any contact with the witnesses either. You would think you would let the witness and the victim in this case both know, but I was not notified, and I told her that I made a complaint basically, and the response I got was that the victim has rights, and we weren't obligated to notify you about anything. Is basically what it says.
You know, Doctor, I cover a lot of these cases. I unfortunately interview a lot of people who have lost loved ones to crime. That in and of itself is incredibly painful, but the fact that you are experiencing this while having to hear all of these other details about what could have happened and what should have happened and how there were errors that were made, that is so unfair and compounds so much for you and your family. And I just have to say, I am so sorry that this is happening to you. I hope that as we talk about this, though, the story is amplified, that people can come out and help you. We're going to continue to follow it. We're going to follow what happens at that hearing. You have an open platform here to come on, tell us the latest, because most importantly, you and the family deserve answers here to understand what happened. So again, I look forward to talking to you again about this. Our hearts and our prayers go out to you and the family. And if there is anything that we can do to help, please let us know, okay?
Yeah, so may I say one more thing before we get off today?
Absolutely.
So you and I were just talking about them coming back to Nashville and letting him leave again. Okay? So the following Monday is when all these people all realize that something's gone badly wrong. They figured out what happened on Friday, but on Monday they all panic. This is July 1st, okay? So just imagine that this psychopath, Mr. Bricen Rivers, is getting phone calls every hour from the monitoring company. Hey, you're in violation. You're in violation. You're in violation. You're having a hearing tomorrow. Your bond is going to be revoked. You're having a hearing tomorrow. You need to be here in Nashville. And this monitoring company is calling him all day long on July 1st. And then imagine that the bail bonds company is calling him, hey, we got to apprehend you. You violated your bond. You're going to go to jail tomorrow. You need to be here for court. So they keep calling him nonstop. And imagine a psychopath being aggravated by all these sources. Are you following me?
Yep.
And then imagine his attorney calls, man, you really screwed up. You knew you weren't supposed to go there. Now you're in trouble. They're going to take your bond away. You're going back to prison for the rest of your life. So when I analyzed all this data and looked at it, this went on all day long on July 1st, up until midnight. And up until midnight, he talks to this monitoring company, and guess what he says? I'm not coming tomorrow.
Wow.
Okay. And this is let's just say it was 12:30 in the morning on July 2nd. Okay. So at 4:01 a.m. on July 2nd, my daughter's Life 360 gets cut off. So basically they drove this man, this psycho man, so crazy that he had no choice but to kill her. He had nothing to lose. And enraging a psychopath is basically what they did. All their incompetence enraged him so bad that his only choice was to kill her. And that's what he did.
Doctor, you could very well be right. And again, I say it, it should not have happened like this. And it's really a colossal failure. I hope we get to the bottom of it. I hope your voice is amplified and you're able to have the opportunity in a platform other than this to explain to our legal system what happened to you, because this is unacceptable. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but I appreciate you coming on and I appreciate you sharing these details with us. I think it's very, very important for people to know, and hopefully people can come out, listen to this, and help you in any which way they can.
Well, let me just say that our justice system is there for a reason, to provide law and order to society. And the disorganization and the incompetence and the failure of the justice system in Nashville, Tennessee cannot be explained any better. That all these people realized they made mistakes. They had a hearing to review all this. While they were having a hearing, Lauren Bricen killed my daughter while they were having a hearing talking about how did they let this guy out of jail. It happened at the same time.
Doctor, I hear you. Again, if whatever we can do, please let us know. We're here for you guys, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.